Hey everyone, it's Kong again, and here's another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'll be presenting high-level overviews using these 4 criteria to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. How they fit into your team, whether they unlock any bonds, what kind of content they get used for, and their future availability. So let's get right into this Raid Up banner featuring Wiler and Young Jessica, running from October 1st to 14th. And it's not a Destiny banner, so it's definitely possible to summon off-banner heroes even on your first SSR. You should have a 40% chance of getting Wiler, a 40% chance of getting Young Jessica, and a 20% chance of getting anyone who's in the regular summoning pool. So let's go ahead and get started with Wiler. Wiler is a well-rounded support-based healer. His talent removes 2 debuffs from affected allies, and grants healing before battle for a number of turns based on his star level. The only downside, of course, is that it's triggered by his death. His 3-cost skill High Stakes basically trips his talent effects without needing him to die, and it also boosts damage dealt and reduces damage taken, so it's pretty OP. You can pop it when a battle starts to get heated, and your allies will almost always enter into any combat in good health. He also has Dispel, Mass Heal, a conditional teleport skill that's not quite as versatile as Iris's Jardin, and a conditional Act Again skill that's not quite as versatile as Lyanna's. But the point is, he has all of these great generalist tools at his disposal. He's a member of Strategic Masters, buffed by Ultimuller and Lanford, and Yales Legends, buffed by Landius and Sigma. For bonds, he unlocks the defensive bond for Serena, and since she's a tank, that's a pretty important one for her. For his own bonds, he needs Serena for his own defensive bond, and Lanford for his attack bond. For content, in PvE, he's on faction for Sleipnir and Needhogg in Ancient Beckoning, but other characters tend to be more favored for the role that he would play in those fights. He's also on faction for Phoenix in Eternal Temple. He can work as a healing support unit for a pure strategic team in general purpose PvE, which makes sense since all of Strategic Master's healing options lean more towards well-rounded support with a dash of healing, like Gerald and Layla, Imelda, and Olivier. In PvP, as I mentioned earlier, he's a dynamic support unit, and PvP is where this aspect of his kit really tends to shine. Being able to dispel, mass attack, heal and act again a unit without soldiers, and mass eject your injured allies out of danger gives you a lot of tactical options. He's definitely still one of the top PvP healer options and continues to hold his own even after Florentia and Rosen Seal are released. As far as availability, on Chinese servers he hasn't yet seen a comeback after this banner, which means he's not in the predicted schedule until, at the earliest, mid-March. Now, moving on to Young Jessica. Young Jessica is an interesting unit, a fairly typical mage at first glance, but made unique by her transformation skill. When she uses this skill, she essentially turns into a long-range magical turret. It dramatically reduces her mobility, but it boosts her skill's range by 3. This synergizes with her talent, which boosts damage depending on how far away you are from your target. She's a potential candidate to wield the new Scepter of Divinity, which can increase her range to even sneakier levels. She does have access to a unique piece of headwear that gives her a conditional Act Again on a cooldown. I'm told that this lets her cycle her cooldowns more effectively in conjunction with her transformation, so it's definitely an interesting option for her. She's a member of Legion of Glory, buffed by Ledin, Elwyn, and Grenier, Origins of Light, buffed by Dehart, Jugler, and Freya, and Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroth and Tree Sage. For bonds, she unlocks the attack bonds for Emilia, Nomi, and the upcoming even younger Jessica. And for her own bonds, she's just going to need Lyanna for her attack bond. For content, in PvE, she's on faction for Valkyrie and Scylla in Eternal Temple, and she's quite useful against the latter, because she can stay out of the danger zone and lob spells at her targets. She's also on faction against Jormungandr, Hugin and Munin, and Fenrir in Ancient Beckoning, and quite helpful against the ever-so-pesky Ice Dragon. Frankly, she can be great at cheesing stuff like challenges and timeless trials as well. In PvP, she can be tricky to use, but she's really coming into her own. Mythical Realm is a strong faction, and Legion of Glory promises to be quite powerful in Season 6, and her dynamic range allows her to be very helpful in a variety of box styles. There is some thematic overlap between her and Nomi and the new Langrisser reincarnation Jessica, as well as maybe Rachel with the Scepter of Divinity, but having a long-range magical sniper with quick cooldowns at your disposal is always handy. For availability, like Wiler, she's also not expected to headline another banner before at least mid-March. So here's the quick and dirty. We have Wiler, who's a top-tier PvP healer and support with lots of dynamic options. He unlocks the defensive bond for Serena. We also have Young Jessica, who's a long-range magical turret who's great in a lot of PvE content, especially Scylla for example. She unlocks the attack bonds for Emilia, Nomi, and the oddly named Lightborn or Genesis of the Light or Langrisser reincarnation Jessica. And finally, of course, just the usual reminder about upcoming banners. Next week we'll be getting a catch-up banner featuring Emilia, Betty, and Ares, so this will be a good time to try to pick up an Ares if you missed him when he launched, or if you need him for the recently released Rosalia's bonds. Following that banner, when this Wiler and YJ banner expires, we'll be getting the return of a classic recurring catch-up banner featuring Yulia, Landius, and Jugler. If you're missing one of the meta-defining tanks, then that'll be your chance. The next new heroes will then come after that, Tree Sage and Helena, so if you've been hoarding, you don't have too much longer to wait. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you're planning on summoning on this one, or if you're still saving up for one of those future banners. And definitely let me know what kind of luck you had if you are summoning. Thanks so much for watching, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon.